With Spooky Day hiding just around the corner, getting ready to jump out and get you at any point in time. Sorry, that was cheap. But it's only fitting to welcome our first Halloween installment of Daddy Boy. And what better game to start this tradition than with my favourite candy corn game. Here we go. Out of all the Resident Evil games, this is by far the 7th, and it's also the hardest challenge I've attempted thus far. Will Jack be able to contact me on my car's extended warranty? Will we be able to get a job as Marguerite's gynecologist? Or will I be told to bend and spread by Mia in just the first chapter? Well, we'll have to find out. As I often remark, we must face our problems head on, and that is why today we'll be attempting to beat Resident Evil 7 on Madhouse difficulty with only the pocket knife. Kicking off with some cheeky exposition, we discover that our name is Ethan Winters, and our wife Mia has been missing for 3 years. Jesus Christ, get over yourself, Ethan. Cruising down the road, Ethan has apparently received an email from Mia telling him to come and pick her up. That's also what I gauged from the intro too.
Stay away.
I'm glad we're all on the same page here. Boy oh boy, what a nice spooky house. Boy oh boy, what a nice spooky man. Boy oh boy, what a nice spooky house. One of the things that makes Madhouse difficulty so hard is the introduction of the limited save mechanic. At each save point you get given a few cassettes, and when you save it uses one of them, so you have to be careful not to waste them. Next to the save point was a cool home movie, so I booted up the TV and...
You're no artist! An artist respects the silence. It serves as the foundation of creativity.
Oh shit, that's the wrong one. As soon as I gained sentience as Clancy the cameraman, I stepped back to pick up a lockpick. This group of bona fide ghost hunters came to the baker's house to research disappearances in the area, but I was prepared and I protected myself from the biggest horror of the game, sin. After unlocking a drawer, we noticed one of the members of our crew had gone missing, and to be honest, I don't think he'll be returning for Resident Evil 8. A very quick introduction to Jack later, and we're back to being Ethan. Okay, now I'm certain he won't be in Resident Evil 8. As I traversed deeper into the basement, everything started to come together. In the time Mia had been missing, she'd developed some very clear father issues.
Daddy's coming.
And would now be referred to by therapists as a gold mine. I let Mia make herself comfortable while I searched in the other room for clues and... oh, fuck. I headed upstairs and grabbed some magic juice bottles before Mia decided to display her love for me by stabbing me multiple times.
I can feel her clawing her way back inside of me. Get out! Leave me alone! I've been back. I deserve this.
The fuck are you, Mia?
Hey, we can talk about this. I can go back, I can edit out the sounds. It wasn't that funny. It wasn't a funny joke. Unfortunately, we don't have the knife yet, but I count being able to use the hatchet as it's the only melee weapon available to us at this point in time. The first time I started this fight, Mia killed me almost instantly. The second time round, I pretended I was a working class man and I'd just lost my life savings at the pokies, making quick work of the fight.
Turn on the TV, they hit the Pentagon!
I got a call from a girl named Zoe who told me the only way out of the house was in the attic. Mia had disappeared quicker than a toddler left unattended near an unmarked white van, but luckily she left behind the hatchet, meaning round 2 was on the table. I collected a coin from the drawer Clancy unlocked, and watching this footage back a few weeks later, I find it extremely interesting. I think I might have had a stroke. You see, I unlocked the cupboard with the bolt cutters, went to the fuse box, realised I didn't actually grab the fuse, went back to the cupboard, grabbed the fuse and then put it in the box. Look, your guess is as good as mine. We're only half an hour into the run and I've already lost the plot. My darling wife stabbed me in the hand with a screwdriver to keep me safe, and then sawed it off. Again, to keep me safe. Luckily, I only need one of those bad boys to swing the axe, and you know me. I marched up to the attic ready for the first boss battle of the game, and easily defeated Mia on my first attempt. Okay, it may or may not have taken 30 attempts, but all of the fights in this run were extremely difficult, and took me anywhere between 1 to 4 hours to complete. So I will be uploading a separate video of all the battles in their entirety. I wandered around aimlessly until Jack sent me an extremely mixed message.
Welcome to the family, son.
What a big happy family we got here. What a big happy family we got here.
After Sunday dinner, I stayed seated and talked to Grandma for a bit. However, conversing with her was less interesting than an orphan's Mother's Day, so I broke free from my chair. Jack wasn't happy about me leaving the table, but luckily he's bad as me at melee combat, so I fucked him. What? Oh, it's meant to say ducked, and unlocked the hatch to escape. Jack was just as upset with the typo as I was and punished me by removing my foot. That's now 50% of Ethan's limbs that have been cut off, then juiced back on for those playing along at home. I slithered into the trapdoor and emerged into my first safe room. I stared longingly into the box filled with all my special items that would have made this run so much easier, however, I didn't use any of them. Love Ethan though I do, his charisma level is lower than a single balding man in his 40s.
You gotta give me your gun.
Ethan, we don't need a gun.
A fucking pocket knife?
Finally, we have our weapon of mass destruction, and what better foe to test it on than all knives' worst fear? Teddy! The cop brought a whole new definition to no head. The first time Jack killed me very quickly, however the second time I put the keys in his car, and I didn't actually attack him with anything but the knife, so his defeat was at the hand of God's second drunkest driver. I had to pick up the gun and I did fire it, but for a very specific purpose. I emptied the clip completely, meaning when Jack arose to shoot himself, the wound was obviously self-inflicted and therefore cannot be blamed on me. I used the coins that I had collected to unlock the Scorpion key and chose to start unlocking the attack coin instead of the defense coin because I'm built different. I died far too many times to this four-legged molded in the hallway, which of course meant I'd respawn in the earlier save room and have to unlock the key again every time I died. I eventually got past it by just letting it despawn and reached the next safe room, preparing to collect all the dogs' heads to open the front door. Unfortunately, it's not all fun and games, and from this point on we now enter the hardest 12 hours the channel has seen yet, all starting in this definitely not haunted basement. I died a fair few times trying to get to the Jack fight, but I eventually found a path where I would take no damage. One of my biggest fears for this run was that I'd run out of healing items, but fortunately that never happened. Wow, this sure doesn't look like a trap. And Jack slaughtered me over and over and over. The most annoying part of this is that every time I died, I'd have to make my way through the basement all over again, as well as craft my health juice. I eventually figured out a strategy to beat Jack's first stage, but the minute he grabbed the chainsaw, I was screwed. There was only one way I was going to win this fight. I was going to have to buckle down, learn all of Jack's moves, and practice until I could beat him. Nah, I'm just joking, I did drugs. Now with my health permanently increased, I gained a false sense of confidence and continued to die to Jack. Eventually I managed to evade and slash Jack enough to destroy my hands as well as make him explode. I'm really glad we'll never see him again. Oh, for God's sake. I did grab the chainsaw, but I only used it as a key. The whole way back to the safe room, I was absolutely terrified. If I died now, I would have to go back to my earlier save and beat Jack all over again. I whipped out all of the dogs and crashed my way through to the garden. For those of you who have played Resident Evil 7 before, you know the horrors that we're about to face. And for those of you who haven't, Mia will give us a preview on the VHS I found. Someone was about to be abused to the point of crying, and that someone was me. Marguerite's bugs are the bane of the knife-only challenge. The only effective way to clear them is with the flamethrower, and the last time I checked, the flamethrower wasn't small, pointy, and fireless. I had to destroy this nest in order to move through the house, but the bug swarms wore down my health faster than Minecraft YouTubers can groom children. Eventually I crafted a heap of magic juice and got ready for my trip to London. Mia was dying to get through this fence, but I was on to bigger and better things. Mainly solving cool little puzzles and cranking my way to the crow key. Marguerite was back from ruining dinner and was now here to ruin my nubile body. No amount of health that I crafted would be able to keep me alive in the pit. Could this be the end of the run? Nah, not a chance. Dare I say it? I found a bug. I only had to survive for around 4 minutes and Marguerite will fall in on her own accord. If I run around long enough for her to spawn 2 swarms, I can start climbing the ladder and get them stuck against the wall, meaning we just have to cower in the corner for the remainder of the time before her vertigo kicks in and we switch places. I found this house's equivalent of a fetus in a briefcase, and Zoe called me to tell me that I needed to find an arm in order to create an antidote to give to the infected. I was faced with the horrible realization that I needed Marguerite's lantern to open this door. There was absolutely no other way I could pull down these scales to open it. No possible way. It's okay, I'll just go grab the lantern. Oh, nah, that's fine, I can deal with this. I If anything was going to make me forfeit this run, it was going to be the next fight. Every time before I even initiated the fight, I had to clear spiders off this door, as well as craft health. And when I was in the fight, I had to make sure that Marguerite didn't get the chance to place a bug spawner, because as soon as she did, it was only a matter of time before they killed me. Marguerite took me 4 hours to beat, and there were many points where I debated throwing in the towel. To give me the edge, I unlocked the attack coin and took more performance enhancing drugs, but again this did little to help me as I continued to die for a further hour. With my hands and right bumper ruined, I thought all hope was lost, until lo and behold she finally stopped attacking me and crumbled into the wind. I had room in my inventory for the lantern. What can I say, I pack light. Wow, this isn't creepy. I found the least feng shui oriented room in existence, and to top it off I had to remove an arm off a dead girl. I can put it back if you want. Removing the arm had decreased my social credit to detrimental lows, and I had to run away from the general public trying to lynch me. Now it was time to meet up with Zoe in the RV to create the serum and end this run once and for all. Zoe was in fact not waiting for me inside the RV, instead Lucas had added her to his collection, and he told me where to find 2 keycards to unlock the door to find him.
You really are the most devious bastard in
Louisiana. To get the keycards, I needed to find the snake key back in the basement. I wasted no time deep-throating the cop to retrieve it. The first keycard was in Lucas's attic, while the second required me to break and enter into Grandma's room and pull an epic prank by changing the time on her clock. This opened a secret passageway to a room that was previously locked in the basement, and I collected the keycard. I will note that at this point in the run the molded are absolutely everywhere, making it extremely difficult to avoid dying, which in turn will reset me to the last save. I unlocked Lucas's door while being jumped by the local youth, and sat down to watch Lucas part ways with his fingernails before the TV parted ways with its screen. We were now off to find where he was keeping Mia and Zoe. I learned very quickly I could not avoid all of the bombs. Fortunately, I did realize early on that if I blocked, I would avoid taking most of the damage. Lucas played a silly little game with me, but fortunately his booby trap had a longer timer than the Lord of the Rings trilogy back to back. I opted to run past all of the enemies in the barn so I could get to the safe room. And watching this footage back again, I realized how stupid I was. I just kept using the top save spot, meaning if I got stuck at one point in the game, I would be well and truly boned. However, past me's massive balls paid off and I never had to reset. Lucas's barn fight to me was the second hardest battle in the game. I had to create a route to lure the 2 fat molded upstairs, and then get them to stand next to one of Lucas's booby-trapped crates before triggering it to blow one of their heads off. This was far harder than it appeared because the molded have an attack where they vomit, and if they used this it would almost always blow up the crate. If they weren't close enough to the crate, they wouldn't die, and despite my best efforts to circle them and occasionally wear down their health, after 15 minutes with nothing to show for it, I gave up. And then it happened, my perfect run. I displayed my knife prowess to scare them before scurrying up the stairs. I avoided the first attack, waited for both of them to be after me, ran a half circle upstairs, pushed one of them into the corner and triggered the bomb, causing its head to explode. After the worst headache this molded had ever experienced, its head finally exploded, and I was done with this battle. Before using the code to open the door to Lucas's fun room, I thought Ethan would prefer if I used Clancy the cameraman from earlier as a guinea pig. And oh boy, he was about to have a slightly better day than anyone who watched Cats in cinema. After solving some puzzles and having losers sketched into his arm, he lit the candles on his cake and for some stupid reason made the wish to set himself on fire. Before following Clancy into the room, I decided to be kind and treat myself. To more drugs, of course.
Stop it. Get some help.
I used the Clancy cheat sheet to get me through the area without setting Ethan on fire. Lucas was most displeased, despite him being the one who left the answers out in the open. He threw a comedic bunch of dynamite into the room. Again, he should really work on his fuse times, as I could have conceived and delivered a child in the time it took to blow up. I don't know, something about all of Lucas's section just feels so cartoony to me, right up to his swivel chair spinning around as I get into the next room. All that's missing is a smoke trail from him running away. I collected all of my equipment back from the box and now had both the head and the arm to create the serum. I died once in the outside area but got through it the second time and prepared for the last battle with Jack. I skipped talking to my wife and instead gave the mutilated body parts to the random stranger. I did manage to check in with Mia, but Jack was still pissed at me for killing his wife, and he also now resembled Jeff Goldblum from the hit 1986 movie The Fly. The whole time I was doing this playthrough, I was dreading this fight most. However, reaching it now, all of my training and drugs had paid off, and it only took me a few attempts to destroy all of the eyes. In Jack's end phase, all I had to do was run from side to side and slash at his last remaining eye until he fell down. However, you know our boy wasn't going down that easily, and I had to give him one of the 2 serums to take him down for good. This left me in a bit of a tricky predicament when I get outside. Do I choose to save my wife, who is the entire reason I'm here and who I risked life and limb to come and rescue? Or do I save Zoe, the random girl who has given me the worst advice anyone could possibly give? The answer was obvious. I'm joking. Our romantic cruise was interrupted by Ethan's desire to understand anything and Mia gatekeeping exposition. Big ship, sunk boat, and now we're Mia. I may seem like I'm rushing this part, and that's for a very good reason. I don't think it's fun. Ethan was whisked away by the mold, and we're about to board the ship of exposition. Spoilers, by the way, Mia doesn't tell him any of the shit that happens on the boat because she's the worst wife in existence. Visions of this kickable little girl begin getting more frequent as Mia doesn't take her schizophrenia medication. Evelyn, however, has had enough of us not knowing what's going on and made me watch Mia's backstory. We find out Mia's a member of Umbrella Corp, the evil company in Resident Evil lore, and she's been tasked with transporting one of their experiments. But her and her partner are about as useful as a box of matches and a bushfire, and somehow she let Evelyn escape and she's now killing everyone on the ship. Mia's partner is out of action, having been injured by Evelyn, making it Mia's job to find her. I ignored the machine gun in Mia's inventory and instead grabbed the knife. Evelyn wasn't where my Fitbit told me she would be, and she then messed me around in the elevator by springing molded I couldn't deal with out of nowhere. After I got past them, I was onto the bottom level of the ship, and my hell for the next 40 minutes. Every time I died in this area, I would reset to the start of the elevator. I managed to develop a route to get the corrosive material, which opened the door where Evelyn was supposedly hiding. However, that slippery bitch started talking to me like I was Lady Dimitrescu.
I want you to be my mommy.
And I wasn't about to let that slide. I now had to head back to the elevator because this game hates me, and I died so many times. The real trouble was waiting for the elevator to reach the floor that I was on, because there were 3 molded that would wail on me, meaning I would die right as it would get to me. I don't want to spend too much time talking about the boat because I find this section incredibly dull. So I got up the elevator, found my partner Alan, just as he turned into Venom. Mia recorded the message we saw at the start of the game, and we're off the ship in this annoying exposition party. I was eager to get present-day Mia off the ship by any means necessary, so believe it or not, I did not actually collect any of her weapons, including the knife. I got the fuse to work the elevator as well as the cable, avoided all the enemies, and descended to pull Ethan out of his nap time. In Ethan's dreamland, he had a fun conversation with Jack, who explained that they were all decent people who were being controlled by Evelyn, and now they can die in peace, or something. Finally, we are Ethan once more, and Mia just gave us a one-way ticket off the boat. Operation Murder a Little Girl is underway. The game says fuck it at this point and makes you go into a mine, because the best way to kill a girl is by tunneling underground like a disgusting mole man or Queen Elizabeth. The gauntlet was actually surprisingly easy to brute force my way through. The real trouble came when I had to fight the 2 fat molded. I couldn't just skip this section like I initially intended because their vomit would knock me off the ladder. I realised that I could get one of them stuck on a wall, leaving the other's legs as free game for me to swing at. Once I'd permanently crippled the bastard, I went ham on his head till it exploded. I then started to climb the ladder using my body as a buffer for the explosion damage. What a fun little lab I seem to have stumbled into. And oh, a box that creates a neurotoxin to destroy Evelyn? How incredibly handy. After I moved a plank out of my way, I was suddenly back in the guest house. You know, the place at the start where Mia attacked us. Thank God we don't have to deal with any of that now. This is actually just a flashback to show us how Evelyn was behind everything. Saving one last time, I embarked back into the attic. Surprise! Evelyn was the old lady all along. Too bad my steel caps don't discriminate. So with a cold wind coming in from the north and my boot coming in from the south, this old lady was in for a world of hurt. Why won't anyone just die? Evelyn ate me a few times, but I learned her pattern and managed to quickly beat her first phase. I know for a fact you can't beat her second phase without using the Albert, so unfortunately I did have to shoot her. However, I view this the same as stabbing her with the neurotoxin, more as a pleasantry or an extension of the cutscene. I didn't go through all of this pain just to fail now, so I'm gonna count this one as a win. With Evelyn dead and Ethan reunited with Mia, I beat Resident Evil 7 with only the knife. If you like this video, please leave a like and tell me what game you'd like to see done next in the comments down below. If you dislike this video, please leave a dislike and tell me what disease I should contract down in the comments below also. Have a great one, Chiefs.